with less than a few hours to go, or I should say about 7-8 hours to go, what is the likelihood we're going to get some kind of compromise, some kind of deal?
I think the likelihood is pretty low. I think it's pretty clear that neither party is all that eager to avoid a shutdown. In fact, they both have political incentives to let at least a short-term shutdown happen. The Democrats, particularly the Democratic leadership in the Senate, Chuck Schumer, is really eager to show the Democratic base that he will stand up to Trump and will fight Trump because he got a lot of criticism for going along with a budget resolution back in the spring. And likewise, the Trump administration sees a shutdown as an opportunity to push further on its government cutting program and its firing of government employees that it has talked about. So actually, there are some political incentives for both sides to at least get to an impasse in the short term.
We've been down this road before. Why does this uniquely American problem, if you will, Professor, why does it keep happening? If you could explain it to our international audience, because this really doesn't happen in any other part of the world.
Well, it's because for years now, under Democratic control and under Republican control, Congress has proven incapable of doing its fundamental job, which is to actually pass long-term appropriations resolutions. So instead, we get into this pattern of needing short-term continuing resolutions to keep the government open. Now, this is because, whichever party has been in control has had a small majority, and because in the U.S. Senate, resolutions like this require 60 votes because of the filibuster. So that requires some sort of bipartisan collaboration. And with the polarization in our politics, bipartisan collaboration is just harder and harder to get. So we keep coming back to this sort of situation, which frankly is no way to run a country.
So are you getting the sense that this standoff perhaps is different from past shutdowns, Professor, that we've had in the U.S.? I mean, economically, inflation has been rising and the labor market is weakening.
I mean, it depends on how long it lasts. If it's a short-term shutdown, few days, it'll be a blip on the radar screen. It won't make much difference in the long term, either economically or politically. Now, if it drags on into weeks, that's when it starts to have more of an impact. That's when people will start to see more of the effects in terms of the actual government services that they rely on. And also, it's when we might start to see more economic effects in the markets, et cetera. So the duration of the shutdown is really critical here. And while both sides have some incentive to allow a short-term shutdown to happen, a longer-term shutdown, I think, would be very negative and detrimental towards the well-being of the country as a whole.
So what's the immediate impact on federal workers, Professor? And do you think Donald Trump is going to follow through with his threat of mass firings if this crisis is not averted? And it looks like it's not going to be, at least not by midnight.
I think it is very likely that some number of federal employees will be furloughed. Because remember, that's consistent with the whole impetus of the DOGE initiative that President Trump rolled out back in the spring. He wants to cut the size of the federal workforce. He wants to make significant reductions in the size of the federal bureaucracy. And if this provides him the opening to do that, I expect him to take advantage of that opportunity. So yes, I think that sadly for them, some number of federal employees will lose their jobs starting tomorrow.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Professor Matthew Wilson, thank you so much.